member of the audience this morning, and one of the things that I found so refreshing about today is that, and actually validating, is that we're all saying the same thing, right? If you haven't been paying attention, the world is changing, and it's about to change a lot more, right? With the ubiquity of mobile, with the fact that users are willing to put more information online than they ever have, with platforms like Facebook and Twitter having the reach that they do today, the idea that someone cares and is willing to share where they are and who they are at the same time is incredibly powerful. And what excites me so much about this space is not actually what any of us are doing today. That's not why I joined Facebook. I am so excited about what we're going to be talking about next year and the year after. We are really at the point where this industry and this concept, the concepts that we're talking about today, are really about to take off. And I want to spend a couple of minutes in the beginning talking about how we got to where we are. Being someone who graduated in 2000, my post-grad experience has been very much online. Let's see if I can figure out how to get this to go forward. All right, I'm going to ask the guys in the back to flip a slide. Thank you. So when I graduated, I didn't have an online identity. And I remember very specifically picking out my online identity, which was with AOL, and picking out my instant messenger handle, which was, I remember this so well, I picked out ECW, which are my initials, in CA. I lived in California. I was worried that that was too revealing about my own identity. I'm not kidding. It's like, maybe people will be able to figure out who I am or where I am. And that was scary because we lived in a faceless internet world, right? Where there was chat rooms where you didn't know if the 20-year-old woman was really a 60-year-old man. People were out trying to steal your credit cards. Like, you had to be afraid. Flash forward 12 years and click, well, sorry, this isn't working. There we go. This is my online identity today, right? These are my real photos, they're my real friends, it's my real baby, it's the real dog that I saw at Home Depot trying to sell me light bulbs. And this is a living and breathing organism. It is a representation of who I am. It was mentioned earlier, just a couple sessions ago, about how people, especially people younger than I, are thinking more about this as their digital identity, right? It really does represent who they are. And what's interesting about this is not just the fact that, like, you can go to Facebook and get lost, get, what was the word, addicted or distracted for hours on end. But the fact is that this symbolizes something really powerful. So for the marketers, it symbolizes the ability, because you can, with this information, create a highly customized, highly personalized, highly delightful experience for your users, your customers, which is exactly what we want to do, right? We've heard this again and again today. And for users, you care about that, right? You want to know, you know you can go to Google and find information when you search. What you really want to do, though, is have the social context around those decisions that you're making, and the idea of social discovery is one that's really core today. The interesting thing about this, though, is that certainly it's happened with our personal profiles, but businesses have actually followed a very similar trajectory. So because we had a focus on Levi's earlier, I thought I'd pick out the Levi's website. This is 1996. This is actually not a bad website for 1996. But there's a lot of text. You can't really do that much with it, right? It doesn't have pictures. You can't buy anything. So it's a very basic representation. This probably wasn't changed for 6 to 12 months, and this is a big company, right? So this concept that you represent yourself online in a very static, like, kind of boring way. And this is where we all started. And in fact, a lot of local businesses are still here. So you flash forward to today, and I just grabbed these this week. This is Levi's wall, right? And they have over 3 million fans. They posted this thing 4 hours ago about the Levi's girl. They already have 1,000 people who liked it and almost 100 who have commented. Like, unbelievable, living, breathing representation of a real company. What's also interesting here is that we're seeing the merging of a personal profile and a professional profile, right? I mean, look at the pictures that Levi's has chosen to represent their business, right? These are people's faces. And we are already seeing this. If you think about, I mean, I would say, I don't know, like maybe 25, 40% of the room is wearing jeans. if we were here 10 years ago, no one would be wearing jeans. We'd all be dressed up in slightly more formal clothes, right? I mean, we're becoming much more casual in the workplace. The idea that your personal life and your work life, I mean, listen, I'm in a bubble company. We're way into this. Everyone socializes together. But really, in general, the business world is changing, and the fact that we have our mobile phone with us all of the time means that we should and can and are doing work while we're at home in our personal lives, right? This is all becoming one. And similarly, companies, right? Small, large, medium, all were started by people who have a passion about something and a reason that they created that business, and it's usually not money as the #1 driver, right? And that's what this is starting to get at. What's interesting about Levi's is that they've sort of taken this concept of personalization to the next level with their Curve ID. I know it was touched on earlier. And they've done an unbelievable job taking what is, you know, content, a real kind of awareness about this new product and making it hyper-local, right? So not just in the storefront, but they've tied into Facebook events. So you have an event attached to this program. And so it's basically taking those online conversations that you know are happening and bringing them in store. And of course, you turn them into check-ins and more viral things. And it's not just Levi's. We have thousands and thousands of examples. Yet last night I got in and I was looking at my feed and I saw this at the top. This is the Starbucks promotion where if you go in, I think it's between 2 and 5 and buy a coffee, you get this free bonbon. Right? They need to smooth out their demand. They have few customers coming in between 2 and 5. So they use Facebook to get their message out and they tie an event to it. Right? So a very, very different and hyper-personalized approach to how businesses are representing themselves online, allowing users to help represent them online, right? Wasn't that long ago when businesses said, we don't want those comments, they could be bad from our users, and we don't know who they are, right? This is changing so dramatically. Let me give you a couple of other examples and talk about really the 3 components of this really quickly. So how is this happening, right? So first of all, the mind has changed, right? People's acceptance of sharing information online has really changed dramatically. At Facebook, we believe so much in social discovery, and actually, we published, I think, 4 months ago, a 200 million user number for our mobile usage. We're well north of that now. People are running around town with Facebook on their phone, checking it all of the time. I have a friend, I'm seeing nods in the audience, right? You probably are on Facebook right now. I have a friend who just moved from New York to San Francisco, needs a hairdresser. She's going out and asking her friends who the hairdressers are, right? I have a hairdresser who has a page on Facebook. I send it over to her. It has photos of other friends who have had their hair cut by this woman. I mean, it's just this unbelievably viral cycle. And what this is doing is it's taking the human nature, right, that need to share, the want to share, and making that happen at scale in a really easily trackable way. We also recently launched sponsored stories, which are a new ad format, right? So now, my friend Jessica, I know, has written on the Starbucks page that she's gone to Starbucks twice, and she happened to be with Philip. I know both of them. That ad is going to do so much better with me than an ad that's like Starbucks. We have coffee, right? I mean, that is a very highly targeted ad. You bet their conversion rates are through the roof. We just started this test, and it's doing unbelievably well, right? So taking the content from my friends that are on pages and turning them into ads to the friends of the fans is really what's happening here. After users have discovered a place, we really want to delight them in a store experience, right? So we launched deals in November of last year and more recently overseas, where merchants can create a cool experience, whether it's a discount or access to something that that user would normally have. And it's really a prompt to check in, remind them, hey, check in and share all this information with your friends, and we'll give you something in return. And then, of course, after you've had the experience, it's all about maintaining the relationship. And this is where we get some of the most creative things from customers, right? We have Sprinkles Cupcakes, who does a word of the day, and they say, listen, it's Valentine's Day. If you go whisper XOXO to someone behind the counter, the first 50 people get a free cupcake. It's like, you know, they just did one for Fat Tuesday. They do this every single day. TRX is constantly updating their stream about the local events they're having and asking their customers questions. What products do you like? How do you use this? What are your fitness goals? So I'm out of time now, so I'll leave it at that. But really, my parting word to you is that Facebook is not just a social web of information. It's all about entities, and we actually call that we call them entities. Meaning it's people, it's places, it's interests, it's music, it's bands, it's everything that you could think of. And being able to connect those things in highly personal ways, and then leverage that information outside the walls of Facebook. I will leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Wait, I gotta ask you one question. I'm sorry, but you're here from Facebook, so I've gotta ask you. You've been in a lot of different. You've opened up a lot of different fronts in your business, in the local business, in the last 6 months to a year, after some reported potential attempts at acquiring Foursquare and other companies like that. So, are you going to kill Foursquare?
No, we're not.
You want to work more closely with them?
Foursquare is a great partner, actually. No, I don't. You know, it's really funny. I get this question all the time.
Well, I feel like
that is when are we having unlike? I just got that backstage.
No, it's not so much unlike. I think it was reject outright.
Eject. So no. I mean, we really are about creating a killer user experience. And other companies are out doing the same thing, and some of them are overlap slightly, and some are very complementary. And there are so many amazing. In fact, I've been at Facebook for all of 6 months, and I have already met with 60 external companies because we care so passionately about the community outside the walls of Facebook, and believe that they are going to help us scale, and we can in turn help them scale without having to become a big company ourselves.
Well, it seems like everybody, for example, has a deals plan or
Yes.
play, right?
Yes.
Yelp has one, you have one, and that sort of came on the heels of Groupon. So is Groupon a partner as well?
Groupon absolutely is a partner. In fact, when we announced deals, we did it along with a bunch of other mobile things, and they were there
Right.
as one of the launch partners for one of the mobile things. So yeah.
One of the things we heard earlier, and you were in the room, you probably heard it from Sean Finnegan, is sometimes a little creepy to have all that information in my feed.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a big fan of the concept of the feed-driven ads, something that we've done at Federated as well. Are you getting any sensibility that those ads are creeping people out, or is it that because it's inside, as you put it, the walls of Facebook, the context is right, and it would be a little weird outside of the walls of Facebook?
You know, it's funny. We have not heard a ton of the creep factor, although there's always a low-level murmur. And it's funny too, being at a company that is so spotlighted on the privacy side and watching how we handle it. Believe it or not, no one will believe me, but we are so sensitive to this topic. I think it's less creepy.
Mark Zuckerberg doesn't help much, to be honest, because he's been like, no, privacy, come on, now get with the program. We all want to be.
He is definitely a millennial. He's got a different hat on, but it really is a serious topic for us. And I do think that the fact that it's first of all, these are all positive stories. They're all public comments that people have chosen to share with that brand and on their wall.
Right.
And it's only to friends.
So they've all gone over a number of hurdles.
So
yeah.
exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll leave you alone now. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.